What if your biggest strength is secretly your greatest weakness? Machiavelli, the Renaissance mind behind The Prince, believed that power isn't taken, it's perceived. And when that perception depends on others' approval, you've already lost control. Tonight we uncover 5 dark signs that you don't just seek validation, you crave it, and how that craving quietly makes you weak, manipulable, and far from Machiavellian. Because the truth is, the more you need to be liked, the easier it is to be controlled. In The Prince, Machiavelli warned rulers, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." It wasn't cruelty he preached, but clarity. He understood that love, or more precisely, the need to be loved, makes you predictable. And predictability is a weapon your enemies will use against you. Validation is the modern currency of weakness. Likes, praise, compliments, they seem harmless. But behind them lies a dangerous dependency, because when others can feed your self-worth, they can also starve it. Let's begin with the first mask, the one worn by those who hide their craving under the illusion of kindness. 1. The mask of benevolence. Ever notice how you're always the one offering help, even when you're exhausted? The one volunteering, staying late, saying yes when you mean no? You might tell yourself it's compassion, but Machiavelli would see it as a strategy gone wrong, a subtle plea for affection disguised as virtue. He'd say, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, few can touch," meaning, the appearance of goodness often matters more than goodness itself. But here's the catch. When your kindness is fueled by the need to be liked, you create a performance, not power. The moment others sense that your generosity isn't grounded in confidence, they learn something crucial, that your approval can be bought, that your niceness is a leash. Machiavelli might smirk and say, "You are not benevolent, you are dependent." The truly powerful don't help to be loved. They help when it serves purpose, when it strengthens alliances or reinforces control. They know when to say no, because every unnecessary yes makes your boundaries fade. Ask yourself, are you kind because it's right, or because you fear the silence that follows disapproval? 2. The echo chamber of opinion. You post something online, yes, and within seconds, you're checking for reactions. How many hearts? How many shares? How many people approve? Even offline, it's the same. You shift your opinions to fit the dominant group. You laugh when others laugh, even if you disagree, because standing out feels unsafe. Machiavelli would see this not as social harmony, but as self-erasure. He might whisper, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." But how can you command if you can't even stand by your own thoughts? The modern cancel culture isn't new to Machiavellian eyes. He'd recognize it as a form of power, a fear-driven obedience system where conformity is enforced and individuality punished. When you tailor your beliefs to avoid backlash, you sacrifice authenticity for applause. You become a mirror, not a mind. And mirrors, no matter how shiny, reflect only others. They never shape reality. Machiavelli would say, "You've traded your authority for approval, and in doing so, you've become governable." True influence demands solitude of thought, the courage to offend if truth requires it. Because the one who cannot stand alone will never stand above. 3. The peril of perceived weakness. Imagine you're presenting your work, but your mind isn't on the message, it's on the faces watching you. You're not thinking, "Is my idea strong?" You're thinking, "Do they like it?" That, to Machiavelli, is a fatal tell. He warned that perception of weakness invites exploitation, and the craving for validation broadcasts insecurity louder than words. When you constantly seek reassurance, when you need others to tell you you're doing great, you're signaling dependence. And predators sense that instantly. Machiavelli's ruler didn't seek validation. He created it. By acting decisively, speaking with certainty, and understanding that confidence itself is a political weapon. When a leader defers too often, when every choice must be approved by the group, they stop leading and start managing approval. History remembers leaders who stood alone, not those who blended in. So the next time you ask for too many opinions, remember, you might not be gathering insight. You might be gathering permission. Machiavelli would say, to depend on others for confidence is to hand them the keys to your downfall. 4. The illusion of control. Do you avoid conflict at all costs? Do you tell yourself it's not worth it? Do you silence your opinions to keep peace? You might believe you're maintaining control, but Machiavelli would see something different. A person ruled by the fear of disapproval. He'd say, a prince who is not feared will soon be despised. And in modern terms, that means, if everyone likes you, no one respects you. Because people respect boundaries, not endless compromise. They respect clarity, not comfort. Avoiding conflict feels like control, but it's actually surrender. Each time you yield to keep others happy, you teach them that your peace has a price, and that price is your integrity. The irony? Those who most fear being controlled are the easiest to control. They're governed by the invisible leash of public opinion. Every decision filtered through, what will they think? Machiavelli would call that a republic of weakness, a mind where others vote on your choices. The path of strength isn't ruthless, but it is firm. It's knowing when harmony is valuable and when it's a trap. Because real control begins when you stop performing for approval and start moving by principle. 5. The path to true authority. It's October 2025. The world worships authenticity, yet few understand what it truly means. Most confuse it with expression, when in truth, authenticity is indifference. The power to remain yourself, even when no one approves. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson wasn't cruelty, it was independence. To act not for praise, but for purpose. To measure your worth by your own code, not by applause. He'd say, the lion cannot afford to ask the sheep for approval. And that's where true authority begins. When you no longer need to be liked, you begin to be respected. Because people trust what stands unmoved. Releasing your need for validation doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It draws a boundary between your identity and others' expectations. The world will always test that boundary. They'll try to define you, rate you, and measure you. But Machiavelli's wisdom reminds us, only the self-defined cannot be defeated. So ask yourself, do you crave validation or command respect? The difference is the line between dependence and dominance, between self-doubt and sovereignty. If this episode sparked reflection, if you saw yourself in these signs, that's your invitation to evolve. Remember, the pursuit of validation isn't evil, but when it becomes your compass, you lose your direction. Be your own judge. Be your own source of worth. That is the first step toward true Machiavellian power.